Have you ever been scammed on the webs?
Yes. One time I was trying to buy a pair of shoes when I was young.
Right.
When I was very young, and I thought they were like coming on a slow boat. Like it was taking a long time, and I thought they were coming on a slow boat from China. But
China's a long way away, Mom.
But it turns out I just got scammed really hard.
How much did they get you for?
It was like $120, $150.
Okay.
Like, like shoe price.
Mine
like,
was
nice, cool shoe price.
Mine was around the same. So when I was starting to like try, not that I was trying to, I had a few auditions and I was getting into acting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that if I sent this company 100, and the weird thing is they set up like auditions. They were legitimate auditions.
Yeah.
If I
It's
sent,
kind of like they had a side hustle scamming.
honestly, a little bit, it was weird. So they were like, "Hey, we have this package. We already got you like representation. I had an agent I was talking to him. I had legitimate auditions.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, we have this agency. If you want to contact them, they could find somewhere nearby for headshots. They'll get you business cards, all these different things that you would need. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, that works.
Yeah.
And they're like, they have different packages. You could go with the 100, 120, 150, 200. And I went with the 150 and never received anything. And that number was out of business in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, what is that?
How did you pay?
With card.
With card? Ooh,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Right.
That's scary shit.
And so I contacted the agency and they're like, yeah, you're not the only one telling us that.
Really?
And we're trying to figure out what happened there because we got that from a very like reputable source.
So it was like someone like
Yes.
using the agency information.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like I didn't feel as bad about it, but I was still out. I was like 18, 19.
Yeah.
I was still out like 150 bucks.
That's
And
a
I'm
lot of
like,
money at 18,
damn,
19.
man.
That's a lot of
Right.
money for me now. Let's be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was out like 150 bucks because of that. And then the scammers with the go get the gift cards, they almost got my mom.
Really?
Legit almost got my mom. I got a call from her and she was having like a mental breakdown about how so not to get into it, but when my dad left, instead of paying child support, he basically just told my mom, just take the Social Security checks that I get.
Mm-hmm.
Very illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
But,
definitely
you
not.
know.
Right.
So they said that they were from the IRS, and they didn't say what it was, but just that she owed money, and she started freaking out, like to the point she's telling me about this. She's like, they said that they'll call back. I have to go to Walmart. I have to get these cards, and I'm like, what? And this was like 6-7 years ago. So this is when it was like just starting up.
This is
Like
like
a big thing.
Yeah.
I go, no, bullshit. No. I'm like, tell me the number. So she gives me the number that she called, and I go, yeah, I received the call. It said that I owe money.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to try to get to the bottom of this. And I kept them on for a good like 15-20 minutes. And finally I go, you fucking con artists, you nasty motherfuckers. And I just start going off. And I go, how many people do you rip off with this stupid bullshit? And the guy goes, enough to pay what I need to pay. Oh,
wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, you. And the things I said, I would not repeat on here.
They're always so cocky.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are because they know that. Like,
what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, right.
You're in America.
Right.
And so then what I do now is I act like, so luckily at work, I think I told you about this. We randomly had one of those scam calls of your Amazon order has not been paid for. There was an issue with your Amazon order.
Mm-hmm.
So at work, our phones are all digital. Like there is no landline anymore. It's all done through. It's called Cisco Jabber.
Yeah.
It's Jabber.
It's through an internet telephone.
Right.
Number.
So immediately I'm like, well, let's roll on this. And I knew it was sketchy because they put me on hold and I hear beep doop. Thank you for calling Amazon support. And I'm like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
So immediately I'm like, I gotta act like I'm an old man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hello. Yes, hello. They said that there was an order there was an issue with the iPhone. I don't have an iPhone. And like I keep this guy on the line for like a good 5 minutes. And well, if you could go to a computer, please. And I go, I don't have a computer. My grandson wants me to get one. I don't have one. So I kept him out the clip was 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And finally it gets to the point the guy goes, Or I think we may have dialed you by accident, sir. You have a great day.
Mm.
Because like he was like, well, how about a tablet? Do you have a tablet? No. My daughter got me a Kindle. And that's for my books. I love to read books. Do you read books? I love reading books. And he was like, we called the wrong, like,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know that
we need to
guy's-
get out of here.
right. And like, you know, that guy's sitting there and he's like, motherfucker, I just
What a
wasted
waste
5
it.
minutes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And
what you
that's
gotta
fine.
do. That's what
Yeah.
you gotta do.
Love it.
If nothing else, you gotta keep them on the line just so they're not calling the 75-year-old woman
Right.
who doesn't know any better and is gonna
Right.
drive to the bank.
Right.
That's the best thing you can do when you get those calls. Obviously you were probably too young.
Mhm.
Did you get money back at all? Like, did you stop on the bank side for reimbursement?
I didn't, because it wasn't until like a week. Like a
that
week.
you put it together.
Yeah.
I could have, and I didn't, and I hate that I think about it now.
Mm.
So this is probably when I was 17 or 18. I first got in my apartment
Mhm.
Yeah.
and had a laptop that was a graduation gift, and hardly ever used the thing. Wrote a couple fucking blogs and shit on it, right? And I remember what I was doing on it. I was sitting there. I was probably looking at phones or something, honestly. And I got the big blue Windows screen of death.
Mhm.
Right.
The virus screen. So, oh yeah, your
Mhm.
computer's been bricked. You have to call Microsoft support.
Mhm.
Don't power off your computer. All that shit. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right. It's making a loud buzz. I'm like, muting it. Won't
Yeah.
stop
Yep.
the buzz. I'm like,
Yep.
all right, call the fucking number. Quote unquote Microsoft support. And they go in. They do the whole thing where they pull up the fake coding. And
Yeah.
show you all the Trojan viruses you have and all
Yeah.
that bullshit. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, I'm not giving out my credit card information online. I don't feel safe doing that. Can I send
Yeah.
you a check? Can I do something? You know,
Right.
whatever. So they got me for $200.
Wow.
Yeah, and the way they did it was, which again, no company will ever ask you to do this. So
Mhm.
so use these as cautionary tales.
Right.
Mhm.
They had me take they opened up my camera for me on my laptop,
Oh
and had me
no.
hold the check and take a picture of it so they could scan it on their bank app.
That's so crazy.
The problem is, and obviously the virus the quote unquote virus went away after that, right? I'm
Right.
like, whatever.
Right.
And I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, because they put their number at the bottom of my computer.
Mhm.
Like, oh, if you have any other issues, call and we'll do it again for a
Right.
cheaper price. Whatever.
Right.
Okay. So I started thinking about, like, I've never seen a company do that. I'm like, I don't know how to get that off. I don't know why it's there.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, this is bugging me now.
Right.
And I didn't know shit about computers. So I was driving to work 2 days, 3 days later. I get a call from PNC.
Mm.
And they go, hi, we wanted to ask you about some suspicious activity on your accounts. I'm like, okay, I don't,
Mhm.
like we have a payment here, and the receipts, the sender who I gave the payment to was under there. They read it to me as the BG shirt company or something, t-shirt company or something like that. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. I told them, like, I don't know what that is. That
Yeah.
wasn't me.
I
Like,
didn't start any shirt companies.
right. And they're like, all right, well, we'll go ahead and cancel that. It was on this day for this amount. And like a dumbass, I went, oh, no, that was for something I paid for. And no, that's good. So they got my money.
Damn.
But yeah, that was not a great time.
What do you think? You think the first like group of people? You think it was one guy? Or you think it was a group of people to be like the first Indian scammer like call center? I think it was one guy who was just like really techie and wanted to be devious, or do you think it was like a coordinated?
I think
planned
it started
attack?
as a troll.
You think? And
Yeah,
they're
I think
like,
it-
oh shit, this really can work. Like we can really do this. Let's
Yeah.
try to make a living off of it.
I think it started with like people just that actually did it, and they're like, these stupid fucking people would fall for anything. Let's
Yeah.
see if they would do it.
I was going to say it was probably an actual telemarketer who's like, I don't need a company to do this. I can
Yeah.
just get money.
Yeah, just be a fake company.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up earlier the I don't know if you guys you might have heard of this too. I don't know, but like the first big time I can think of like a big call scam in relation to it wasn't an Indian scam or anything, but the like McDonald's situation where the people who were like prank calling were pretending to be like the FBI or the police or something like that. And they called the McDonald's and they had the manager bring some girl into the like back room, and then they had her completely undress, like completely stripped down, and then strip back up because they said that she was like smuggling money or something like that.
What?
I
But-
kind of remember
But
that.
this happened like a long ass time ago. Like I'm talking.
Don't mind that.
Uh-oh.
They're hacking into the mainframe, apparently.
They're getting
What's
us.
going on here?
But
All right.
and this was like a long time ago. This was like early 2000s, like 2004, 2005, something like that. So this was
Yeah.
like a
I don't
first
remember that.
first instance, and the only reason I really know about it is because I don't think it was a Netflix special, but there was some kind of TV programming special, like hour-long Dateline special about it or something like that, reviewing it or talking about it.
So why would you let her in the back
In
room?
2004,
Yeah.
McDonald's received a phone call.
No, but something like that happened, and it was like the first time in my brain that stuck out of like, oh,
There's bad people out
yeah,
there
prank
stealing
calling,
money.
like prank calling is a joke, hee hee ha ha, but it can
Yeah.
also work very well.
I feel like it's something that always happened. Now that I think about it, just the same way with I am a prince and I have $1 million I want to give you.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, we laugh about that shit, right? And
Mhm.
all of us sitting here have just admitted to being scammed at least
Oh,
once.
yeah.
Yeah.
When we laugh about I wouldn't fall for the Indian prince thing, right? But someone had to fall for something along that line
Yeah.
at some point.
I mean, people in the like think about early like chat room,
The early
AOL
internet,
the
yeah.
early internet, like
That's all it was I'm talking to people all over the world.
yeah. Oh, I'm
Right.
talking to an Egyptian prince, and he's going to send me this
Hold on,
money.
why'd you turn into Rob Dyrdek? I'm talking to people all over the
I'm
world.
talking to people all over the world. He said something. Oh man, he said something the other day, and I was gonna send it to you.
You're talking to him.
I called him up. I'm like, Rob, man, could you come on off air?
What's going on, man?
What are you doing? No, he said, oh, fuck. He said, putting a wig on a pig. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I watched an interview of him saying,
And he was
"Man,
like-
you're putting a wig on a pig."
And he was like, damn it, he is kind of country.
that was the one that got me. I'm like, no one would say that from the north.
Right.
Even though you're from Akron, no one would say that from the north. And you're sitting there, he's like, you can keep lying to yourself, brother, but you're putting a wig on a pig. I'm like, God damn it, he's a preacher, isn't he?
And that's ridiculousness.
I watched a video about how he essentially milked MTV
Yes.
for all of their money
Love
and
it.
like
Yeah.
became the reason
Mr. MTV.
yeah, the reason that MTV makes, and it's a very smart marketing tactic of he had his own production company, and so then he would just like license the productioning
Mhm.
through his
Yep.
basically he was the only one making money, and he used MTV as like a YouTube to put
Yeah.
because
Yep.
normally MTV would provide the production and the cameras, but he had his own company, so he didn't even
It's almost like going to a station, right? Going to a radio station
Mm.
and having your show on there, even though you own all the rights to the show, and everyone who works on the show with you is under contract to you and not the station.
yeah, kind of like that.
Kind of like that, and you do your own production too.
I know a very significant show that does that.
No, I know a less significant show that does that as well.
Oh,
I know a very less significant show.
I know a very significant show
Oh, I
that
know.
does that. And that's the way to do it. So real quick, to anybody who's thinking about getting into media or podcasts or whatever, make your name an LLC. So if COVID or anything like that ever happens again, you can then take advantage of the small business grants.
Or if not, at least learn how to convincingly Photoshop that form.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out Habibi! We know who you are.
Speaking of Indian scammer.
Yeah. Shout out Habibi.
I
I'd
mean,
still
my
like to have him
ex-girlfriend
on.
got a bunch of money for me and I got nothing out of it. Is that a scam? Is that what it
Yeah.
That's women are a scam.
Yeah. That's the long play scam.
Yeah.